all the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Another live. I'm Frank Harita. This is Tiffany Harita, and we are Carolina Crafted Homes. And tonight we have a really interesting topic that we decided to add. It wasn't on the schedule. We moved some things around because of what we have taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually is really interesting because how long have we been here? 14 years?
Quite a while, somewhere.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
We've been here a long time.
Over a decade.
And we really haven't had to deal with any of this that we're going to talk about tonight, which is wildfires. And
we'll talk about last year.
I'm saying we haven't had to deal with this until the last couple years.
Yeah.
So this has not been a really big issue. We have had wildfires in the past, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But this is something that's become, I don't want to say common, but it happened last year, which was really the first introduction for us into that. And then this year, it's a hot topic again. So we're going to go through wildfires. We're going to talk about, we've got some stats I'd like to go through just as wildfires as a whole across the country. I think it's interesting to talk about a little bit. We're going to whittle that down and talk about the state of South Carolina and then Myrtle Beach, because that's really what is ultimately the most important. And I know you've prepared a bunch of top statistics and information as well. And maybe what you can do to do your part as well.
Definitely.
Did I cover it?
Yeah.
All right. Don't say too much.
Well, Frank always has to take control. So.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's kind of like when we moved here and we found out there were a huge population of black bears, and you just don't picture bears with the beach. And same with wildfires.
I think we have the highest concentration of black bear in the state.
Yeah, that's what we know. We hadn't seen that at one
point. I would have never guessed that.
I know, it's crazy.
No way.
But now
things you learn.
Yeah. And now it's been interesting with these wildfires. And last year, we'll talk about it, but it was hit super close to home. So it makes you really think. And it's not like our area of the Grand Strand is very big. So when it impacts one area, typically it could impact a larger portion of the area from smoke, air, which affects the air quality or spreads to multiple communities. So we'll talk about all of that tonight.
For sure. And Ed, how you doing, buddy?
Hi,
Good
Ed.
to see you on the live today. I like it. Where you been? All right. So what we're going to do is I thought we could just go over some quick stats over the country. I know, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we're talking about Myrtle Beach, but I just think it's a little interesting to give everybody an understanding of what's been going on. So since 1983, there have been about 2.9 million wildfires burning, and that's 216 million acres nationwide.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And over the last decade, the U.S. has averaged about 62,000 wildfires a year, burning roughly 7 million acres annually, which I think is interesting. If I say wildfire, what state do you think of?
California.
It's the only state. It's the only state I ever hear anyone talk about wildfire. So, I mean, I don't think I can remember any other. I mean, I'm sure once in a while.
We did make the news last year because people were calling us from all over last year.
Yeah, but I mean, like.
But
typically, not usually. We're talking usually, not like last year. 84 to 85% of U.S. wildfires are started by people burning debris, equipment, power lines, cigarettes, and arson. I don't know if I would have listed all of them, but I would have gotten a handful of those. And that includes about, not lightning. Okay. In 2023, there were an estimated 56,580 wildfires nationwide. that burned 2.7 million acres and destroyed over 4,300 structures, including about 3,000 homes. And that also is a tie to tonight's topic, because when this happens, it typically happens where homes are being built, we're moving into more, wildlife area. And so that's kind of what we're running into. I think this is interesting. The economic cost of wildfires in the US, suppression, health, property, lost business has been estimated in the hundreds of billions of dollars per year. So that's huge. So we'll go to the state of South Carolina in a second, but is that crazy or what?
Yeah, if you think about
it's a lot of
wildfire,
it's a lot of acreage burned.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's nuts.
The fire going on in Georgia right now.
Yeah. In a typical, so now we're talking South Carolina. This isn't just the country. In a typical year, South Carolina sees roughly 1,300 to 1,400 wildfires that burn about 8,000 to 14,000 acres. Over the last 5 years, the average is about 1,398 fires per year, burning about 14,000 acres annually. What I'd be interested to know is, does that include the burning that they do on purpose?
Well, I was going to say, in our area,
they do the controlled burns.
Prevent, we know wildfires might happen, but to try to prevent the spread as much as possible, they do schedule controlled burns, like you said, and they put it out there in the media so everybody knows when they see all this smoke that there's nothing bad going on. It was planned. So that is something that our area does regularly, and I'm sure they do in many areas where there could be a lot of forest or conditions that could create a big problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. South Carolina's main wildfire season is late winter through early spring, which makes sense. Humidity is lower. And the largest wildfire on record in South Carolina was in 1976 in April in Horry County, burning about 30,000 acres.
And that is Horry County, which is here, the Grand
Strand. So we live in Horry County. Myrtle Beach is in Horry County, which is a very large county east of the Mississippi. So just very interesting. And the South Carolina Forestry Commission emphasizes that almost all South Carolina wildfires are human caused. So somebody lighting fire right now, for those of you that aren't aware, here in Horry County, we have a burn ban. So you're not allowed to burn anything, light a fire, without getting a burn permit, fire permit, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I've noticed a change this year, since I believe what happened last year probably woke up a lot of people. But usually when we have a burn ban, they just announce it and that's it. But this year it has been on signs. They've posted multiple signs on the main roads within neighborhoods. So everywhere I drive, I'm seeing burn ban signs that they have now put up this year. Hopefully to prevent people, because maybe somebody doesn't know and they go start a fire pit in their backyard or something, and that could really cause it. And why they're doing it is because the conditions right now that we're seeing are so bad as far as drought. In April, which is typically a rainy month, we get 3 to 4 inches of rain. In April, we're at 0.2 inches for the month.
Pretty crazy. What's the average? What's the normal? What's
3 to 4 inches.
3 to 4.
April is usually our rainy month. So this year, April has been great for tourism.
Yeah.
We've been warm weather, no rain, sunshine. It's been great, but it's not great for the plants, for this fire risks that we're having. We just really need some rain. So
ponds are low.
Oh my gosh, the ponds, you can even see the underlayment in the ponds now around town. It's amazing so I think that's why they're putting all these signs out, because we are in such dry conditions right now, really dry, that it's a serious risk of something happening again like last year. So do you want to just go ahead and talk about last year?
Yeah, we can. I was going to just talk about a couple other things with just more of the cause, in early 2026 this year, South Carolina experienced drought in parts of the state. It pushed up fire danger, but actual fire counts so far this season are lower than last year, which is interesting, but that's more to aggressive prevention. So anyway, but we can move to Myrtle Beach last year.
No, I think it made everybody super cautious again this year about what we don't want to happen.
Yeah.
So
last year came out of the blue.
Well, yeah, because somebody was not paying attention, and that's the problem. So the beginning of March last year, we were also in a little bit of a drought, and there was a burn ban. However, a lady in Covington Lake neighborhood decided to burn items in a little fire pit in her backyard that was right by the forest. And guess what happened?
Caught fire.
Caught fire. That's right. So it lasted actually 3 months before they were able to completely contain it.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Because our soil here is this kind of like wet soil. So those embers can be under that like peat moss or whatever you would call the soil here. And they can reignite. And so they just kept happening, these little areas that would start burning again. And so that's why it took so long. But overall, it burned over 2,000 acres from that one person ignoring the burn ban, having a fire pit, and over 2,000 acres were burned.
I think what happens is, I don't think people understand how quickly it gets out of control. Right. It doesn't seem like a big deal. And I think last year too, I mean, I don't remember, were we under a burn ban when she did it?
We were.
Okay. So I think that also it's tough to get look, last year, if there was a burn ban, it's tough to get the word out if no one has ever participated in a burn ban or comes from a place where there's a burn ban or they do burn bans. Like, you wouldn't know. Now they're putting signs out. So
that's why I think they're like overdoing the signs inside of neighborhoods.
Yes, but that's good because if you didn't know there was one, where would you hear it if you weren't looking for it? So I think that's part of it. And that may have prevented her from actually lighting the fire. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, because that's not a thing where I grew up. So
anytime we try to light a wood fire in our backyard,
I always think about
freaking out. You're like, oh my gosh, should we check?
You watch you burn a fire and the embers carry, and then we have an open lake or a body of water, and it's just like you see it in the air, and I'm like, I get nervous because I'm like, geez, that ember. Have you ever heard about how an ember can go 1 to 3 miles and still light a fire when it lands?
That's crazy.
So that's scary when you know that, and that's a thing that I'm always conscious of, especially after being like, out camping and hiking. You think about setting, the woods on fire and that kind of stuff, the forest. So anyway, and you got to be careful with underbrush. But
when this happened, I had reached out to a couple of we actually have a lot of homeowners, to be honest, that are in these neighborhoods because it started in Covington Lake, but the woods are all connected behind there. So all of the fires spread so quickly, and all of those neighborhoods back there were seeing this fire and having being evacuated. I know my mom's neighborhood, she was in the farm at the time. There was police and fire knocking on doors in the middle of the night, evacuating people. Now, at the end of the day, it was such a blessing. Over 100 agencies helped with this fire. We got help from all over. And at the end of the day, no one was injured and no house was completely destroyed. They did have some melting of vinyl siding. And definitely even months later, I showed homes at the front of Covington Lake and you could still smell smoke inside the house. So, I mean, there was stuff like that, but no houses were actually destroyed, which is amazing. If you think about how big that fire was.
It is pretty amazing.
How many months.
And they worked around the clock. And I think I remember hearing about volunteers and people coming to help, I think, but our community's on the waterway and they were taking, they were literally flying down, scooping water out of the waterway and just like rotation.
We have a video of the helicopter.
Yeah. Should we show the helicopter video?
So behind our neighborhood, we just kept seeing them over and over all day long, scooping up the water. and carrying it to the fire. It was amazing.
This is a video of a helicopter.
Dropping the water, I believe. The bottom of the helicopter is the water that I had just picked up from the waterway. And it was just, like you said, constant, one after another. It wasn't just one helicopter. They were like lined up.
Crazy, especially when you've never seen it. So you see stuff like this on the news when they're talking about California, and you see them picking up water, dropping water, planes dropping whatever they're dropping on the fire. And but when you're seeing it in your neighborhood, it's really
Do you want to show
crazy experience.
Pictures?
Yeah, we have some other pictures here that we'll show all of you. So this is a picture of what it looked. So this is actually from
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed on the live today, who's watching. This is a picture, and so this is what it looked like from above.
Mm-hmm.
That might be tough for people to see, but that's in the air.
Look how much spread that is. How scary is that? And again, think about it. No people were hurt and no homes were destroyed. And look at how massive that fire is. And I'm telling you, this fire was right behind many, many neighborhoods here in the Carolina Forest area.
Yeah, you've got to give credit to the police and fire and EMS, like everybody.
And all of the, like Charleston, I think, came up, and all of the surrounding districts sent people to help us.
They did a great job.
Yeah, it was amazing.
They were fighting around the clock. And I remember getting up to go to the gym early in the morning, and it just smelled like it was like a neighborhood or so away, but it smelled like it was in your, like right there in front of you. That's how strong it was. Even today, when I went outside, I could smell it in the air. It's crazy how the smell carries.
Show them the pictures of, this was from night. There we have two.
This
was in
picture.
The Waterbridge community, sent by Mr. Ed again.
Yeah.
And that was behind them. Of course, how scary is that? You don't know if that's coming to your house or if it's staying far away.
Yeah.
And do the other one at night behind Covington Lake community. And this is the one. So look at that. That's somebody's trampoline in their backyard. And that's what their view was out of their house, is glowing forest. I mean, how terrifying is that? It's just crazy. And then I guess we'll just show
might as well show the daytime one. This is during the day.
That's when it first started.
Yeah.
In Covington Lake, it was like during the day. I think it was Maureen had seen this on the tree, and she had called the fire department.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's how quickly it spread.
You
Isn't
kidding?
that crazy? So
good job, Maureen.
Anyway, that it's just unbelievable, unreal. Can you imagine looking outside of your house and seeing that? But for so long, if we talk about, and I'll jump ahead to the air quality impact, because it was so great around here. And even schools, they were canceling recess outside because the air quality was so bad. But when I would be driving around Carolina Forest, it was red in my car. Usually it's like blue and gray. It was to the bottom, like dark red, really bad. And I remember I got stuck in, there was an accident or something by the Bella Vita community. And in my car, it was dark red and I couldn't even breathe. I was like, oh my gosh, how long am I going to be stuck here? And I kind of started freaking out, because you wouldn't believe how bad and how difficult it was to breathe. And I don't have asthma or anything. So people that actually do have some condition with their lungs, or children are more affected as well, that can be very dangerous for people.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, it was that, like, Bella Vita wasn't even close. It's close. It's in Carolina Forest, but it didn't back to where this fire was. But that's how strong and thick the smoke was in the entire area. And even right now, the fires going on in Georgia, they said on the news this morning, and it's true, be careful outside. You might want to stay inside today, because the smoke from their fires have been making their way up to our area. And that's, not even in our state. So if you think about right in our backyard, imagine how bad the air quality was. I even had a renter on one of our condos say, hey, my daughter has asthma. How's the air quality? And they wanted to cancel their vacation. That's how bad.
But you think about it, that's very difficult. And like I
Mhm.
said, it wasn't even like you were having trouble in your car. I was having trouble in my car. I was like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, it's so bad. And you realize how we're vulnerable. I mean, most of the area around us is wetlands or forest, or there's a lot of that around here. And so it's,
I know they are building a lot, but we still do have a lot of conservation areas.
Yes.
And that's where they mostly do the controlled burns,
Mhm.
because it's
The
a large
national parks,
yeah,
Francis Marion, stuff like that.
Yeah, and just even in Carolina Forest.
Yeah.
The reserve in Carolina Forest. So
it cleans out the undergrowth.
Yes, which is so let's talk about that. One of the things that people use in their plant beds here is what?
Pine needles.
Pine needles.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things they say to do to prevent fire from your home is to not have pine needles by your house. But literally, they're like up against people's foundation, pine needles.
They're everywhere. Well,
Like,
they dry. They're
homes.
super dry. Mulch is probably, I'm assuming they would say
mulch is better because it holds in the moisture.
That's exactly right. So mulch holds moisture. Pine needles probably don't. I'll tell you what else. I'll tell you why else pine needles aren't great. Now, stone is more expensive, which we do.
Yeah.
I do it because I'm lazy and I don't want to do the mulch every year.
Well, mulch looks bad after. It looks amazing at first.
Yes, it does. It does look amazing.
Yeah.
But we do stone. But the other reason why, let's take it back to one of our other videos. Copperheads. You would never be able to see a copperhead in a pine needle.
He's obsessed with snakes, as y'all have learned. So.
Anyway, just saying, just throwing that out there.
But it is amazing in our area. That's a very common thing for the builders to put in the plant beds is pine needles.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do have a home with pine needles, you might want to consider switching out to mulch next year or this year.
I mean, but let's be honest. Okay, there's a forest fire. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but by the time the fire gets to you, pine needles probably ain't gonna.
Yeah, but let's say it was in the back of the neighborhood like that, and there's embers coming. And
yes,
it hits,
fair.
I mean,
fair.
It doesn't hit your house, but the ember could ignite.
That's fair.
The pine needles.
Yeah.
So, but another thing with this drought is again causing the fire conditions, the potential fire hazards, is everything is dry. All of the plants are dry. Everybody's sod is dry. And so everybody is running their sprinklers and irrigation systems like crazy because things are dying. That's another thing to think about. But did you know it's best to run your irrigation either early morning or late night, not during the sun part of the day?
Absolutely, because it just gets eaten up by the sun.
Exactly. So if you're planning that, you should do it early morning, late at night, twice a day. And
early morning. I don't know. Some of you, early might be 9, 10 o'clock. That's not early.
Yeah.
Early is like
4,
right at
5,
when it starts to get light out. That's early.
Probably 4 now. It's starting to get lighter.
Yeah. 4, 5, 6-ish latest. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
But they say it's better if you just do a drenching like 3 days a week than it is to do light misting every single day. So 3 days a week, early morning,
soak it,
late at night, go ahead and run those as much as you can. Soak all of your grass, your plants. They said focus on the bigger trees and stuff, keep them moist. So that's ways, again, that you can save your plants. We all want to save our vegetation around our homes and keep it looking nice, but also to help prevent wildfire, any fire coming up around your house.
For sure. And it's good to do anyway, but yeah. And that's definitely the 2 times a day to do that. I mean, I see so many times, usually people are pretty good about it, but I'll occasionally see someone do it in the middle of the day. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's a waste.
I have seen that a lot lately.
Yeah.
You have to like get off the sidewalk because the sprinkler's going.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, also for listing a house or seeing homes right now, curb appeal isn't the best when your plants are all looking tired and dried out.
Yeah.
So though I'm sure most of them hopefully will come back, but it's just we have to take extra care to these things at the moment.
Well, we don't really have any major rains in the forecast.
They're saying next week.
Maybe they were. I think they were saying on the weather station today, like maybe we have some rain. I think, but
Yeah, right when I was scheduling listing photos, literally every day is like 30% chance of rain and cloudy. And I'm like, of course, out of all weeks.
Shocker.
I know. So we'll see. Monday now is the only day next week that they're saying no chance of rain. So hopefully we will get some rain and catch up a little bit, which will help because fires have been popping up around our area. Just this week, a few days ago, in the Black Creek community, there was a fire that popped up and they were able to contain it very quickly. But it was kind of PTSD from last year because it was in that same general area.
Well, anything in this area is going to, make people be like, oh, I mean, the fact that we had that fire on that apartment complex I was like, oh boy, because that could jump and then that's what happens. So hopefully we don't have any of that this year.
Well, and that's happened if we're talking about fires, not because of drought, but in hurricanes before. Mm-hmm. In North Myrtle Beach, there's been several times where the fire broke out for whatever reason because of the hurricane, maybe knocking over a power line or whatever. And it went and spread from one house to the next and caused damage. So It's not just drought that could cause a fire around here. You also have to beware during storms like hurricanes.
Yes. I was going to talk a little bit about what's different now than before. What's going on now versus 20 years ago, because we're seeing more of this. It's been 2 years in a row now where it's kind of been like this.
It could be drought conditions.
It is. But what's interesting is you have more extreme conditions. So it's like extreme drought and then extreme heavy rain.
Well, I think we've seen that because we had extreme winter this year. We even had snow, like 3+ inches of snow in Myrtle Beach, which is crazy. But then we've had this extremely dry spring since then. So it has been like it's kind of like you, but in weather form.
Okay.
Extreme.
Whatever. We're not going to listen to that. That's nonsense talk. What we are also seeing is the growth and development, right? Mm-hmm. So you're getting all these homes that are living right next to the forests, and that's a problem too.
Well, whenever you have people, you have chances for a cigarette or fire, whatever they're doing to create.
More people with more yard debris burning, equipment use.
Any of those things that could spark fire. Did you know that the lady, so they did catch the lady that caused the fire last year?
Uh-oh.
And
am I prepared for what she said? Or you're going to tell me what there was?
No, she was actually lucky because right before her trial started, the South Carolina, I have to get this, their South Carolina Forestry Commission offered her a diversion program that she could take as like a plea deal before going to trial. So she took it. Of course, I mean, who wouldn't? After that, I'd be terrified.
I don't think of her. I don't know the situation. What was it like? There's a burn ban and I don't care. I'm going to light stuff on fire. Or was it like she set a fire, she was burning some stuff and wasn't clear on the burn ban?
I don't want to gossip.
Got to give her some grace.
There was a Facebook post that was pretty.
There's always somebody that wants to tear people down.
No, it was her Facebook post.
Oh.
And that got removed. But somebody screenshot it and put it up. But we won't go there. But it's a small town. The word spreads here.
Yeah.
So,
So we don't know.
Everybody kind of knew who started it because, it's a small town.
Well, no, I understand that. But I'm saying, was she like that?
I don't know. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
but luckily she got that program. So then I guess they said after she completes it, it's not on her record as anything bad.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty lucky. I'd be terrified if I were her.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine
going to court?
No, just knowing that you started like a 2,000+ acre
Heck
fire.
Yeah, you'd feel terrible.
I would feel awful. And it went on for 3 months. Like,
oh my God.
I would just
I'll tell you what, this isn't part of the live video tonight, but imagine you lit all this property on fire, but then you'd have to relive it for 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's torture in itself. It's not like it happened and it was like this big disaster, which is still terrible.
Yeah.
But every day, helicopters and everybody around town is talking about it. And you can smell, and it's like, oh my God.
Not just around town. Like I said at the beginning, it made national news. It was on the Today Show, and people were calling us, like I said. So, I mean, that's a pretty,
Yeah.
I'd feel pretty guilty. But
That
anyway, we'll
stinks.
give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I would feel awful. It could happen to any of us, but that's why we have to be extra vigilant during these times to.
That's the signage though, right? So
Yeah.
now I think
I should have taken a picture of one of the
I
signs.
know.
And
It
on
just
the way
says
here,
burn
they
ban, I
actually
think.
had a smoke sign because of they've said the air quality again, because that smoke coming up from Georgia.
Yeah.
But we've had several fires in the past month just catch around town, and some homes catch on fire, but hasn't been anything major. It's stuff that they've been able to contain relatively quickly.
This is a good tie to not intended, but insurance. I mean,
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm like, insurance, but I mean, if
we
you
already
think,
like insurance is tough enough around here.
I know, but you think about it, like when you think, it's kind of funny. You think California, you think mudslides and fires. When you think Myrtle Beach or the East Coast, I don't want to say just Myrtle Beach, but Florida and the Southeast, you think of hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think wildfires.
Yeah.
But it could be anything, and so you just have to be prepared. Mm-hmm. You never know. We haven't had to deal with this ever since we've lived here, and now all of a sudden last year and this year it's wildfire this and wildfire that, and hurricanes haven't even been in the conversation. So you got to be prepared.
Well, hopefully everybody learn. I mean, sometimes it's good to go through something and everybody can learn and hopefully prevent these issues from happening in the future.
Should we talk about what people can do, or do we want to go there yet?
No, I think we're there. I think we're there. So
we're there. Tiffany says we're there.
Tiffany approved.
Tiffany approved. Okay. So what can you do to help yourself and to prevent more fires? So be smart with any burning. Okay. Always check for burn bans.
Don't burn if there's a burn ban.
Always check if there's burn bans. Yeah. This again, I didn't know that was a thing until last year. So, it wasn't really talked about. Always check for burn bans or local restrictions before burning your yard debris. If burning.
Well, even a lot of HOAs, sorry for interrupting, but a lot of HOAs don't allow you to burn debris. It's against your HOA restrictions. So make sure to check your guidelines on that if you are within an HOA, but also refer to the city or the county guidelines as well.
Well, if you are allowed to burn, you only want to burn natural yard debris. So leaves, limbs, straw, branches, not trash and construction material. And I mean, this sounds like common sense, but
even leaves, I feel like when you burn leaves, they go everywhere. You see like leaf things, and it's like terrifying. It smells good, but
I get freaked out when I do a big fire.
Yeah,
I do.
He really does.
I'm afraid something's gonna carry and it's gonna light something on fire.
Our home's not even against woods, but he really gets nervous about it. But another thing, if you do light a fire, so let's say it's not a burn ban and you have a charcoal grill or a fire pit in your backyard, and you do burn with, let's say, actual wood, it's not gas, you need to be checking that grill or that fire pit to ensure that the fire actually goes out.
Yes.
Because you can't just walk inside after you're done and think it's okay.
Well, most people, I think most people nowadays, like we have a solo stove, you kind of cover it. I still usually will put some water on it and then I'll cover it.
Well, even a grill, you could try
even
to
a grill, cover it back up. But yeah, you should cover it, pour water on it, just like as if you were camping or hiking in the woods, which some people don't know. But you definitely want to think about that stuff. It's all about thinking about your neighbor. I'm always just stressed out about affecting someone else. Like I don't want to burn, somebody else's house to catch on fire. So, and you got to think about that stuff. And a lot of it is common sense. Clear a fire break around the pile, at least as wide as the pile itself, down to bare soil if possible. So if you're going to burn something,
destroy your yard.
clear the ground around it. Don't let all this underbrush or pine needles or sticks be around it. Clean a good width around it so that you don't have to worry about it spreading. Yeah.
Or do it maybe on a concrete patio or something.
Well, most people aren't going to do that though, because then that could leave a burn mark. No, I'm talking about when you don't have it in a container.
Oh, if it's not in a container.
I'm talking about a pile of debris.
Okay. I'd be terrified of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Have water and tools, house, shovel, rake on site, and never leave a fire unattended. That again is common sense, but it's important to just say because you don't want to light a fire and then just expect it to go well.
But
So you should be there watching it. And my buddy that I coach up in Massachusetts had they had a fire. I think it was a campfire. I wish I could ask him, but I think it was a campfire, and it spread and it burned a building on his property and his boat. The boat and the building. So, and it got out of hand fast. And that's what happens. I think people aren't prepared. They're not thinking about these things right here. Then the fire spreads. Then they get stressed.
Yeah.
Then they make really bad mistakes because they panic and they say, oh, I'll do X, Y, or Z. And that makes it worse.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Well, talking about that, even just in your home, fire extinguishers, but they do expire. So we put them in all of our rental properties, but something also that I put in all of our rental properties and
those blankets
all over our house are these fire blankets that you can just pull the tab and throw them over the fire quickly before it spreads out of control. So we do have that on our Amazon shop. I wasn't planning to say that, but like, I'm telling you guys, I feel so much safer. I put one in Hudson's room, the laundry room, the kitchen, all of our rental properties. I make sure the renters know that they're there in an accessible place. And it just gives me a little peace of mind because I agree, like you do freak out and your mind goes blank and you're not thinking clearly when a fire happens and you're not thinking about what you need to actually do. You just start doing crazy things. So having the fire extinguisher, having the fire blanket, water, the other tools, and being prepared is so smart.
Yeah. Be prepared, have a plan, whether it's inside or outside is really what we're talking about. So
yeah,
and I think that's
I'd
smart.
Run inside and grab those, or take them out. Just have a fire blanket with you.
Yeah. I mean, outside, that's a little bit.
I would. I'm always extra cautious.
That's
I'll do whatever I can.
And I think that's most of it, other than, create a defensible space around your home. Keep pine straw, mulch, and dry leaves pulled back away from the foundation, decks, and fences, which no one does. Trim low branches and thin out dense shrubs close to the house to keep flames on the ground instead of climbing into the canopy.
Well, you should never have, even our own palm trees sometimes have been touching our roof. And we try to get those cut as soon as we notice it. But this is something common that people might not think about. But there's so many reasons why you should not have a tree touching your home, not just fire, but pests getting in there. A lot of reasons, like it could be messing up with your roof.
That's right.
Having dripping things on your roof, causing damage. So you really want to make sure for fire prevention and other issues to keep those trees off of your roof and not touching your home.
Yeah, you've got to keep a clear, safe space around the home to try and keep anything that does catch fire or burn. If in that situation, hopefully it doesn't catch your home. And then let's see, avoid parking hot vehicles or equipment on dry grass. And who would think of that? You wouldn't think about that, but people do that all the time. Use spark arresters on chainsaws and other equipment where recommended.
Well, we're pretty much wrapping up, but Hudson came in to join.
Oh, hey there, buddy.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
Here, sit here.
We're talking about the fires, the wildfires.
Before we wrap up and say goodnight, do you have anything to add? Do you remember the Carolina forest fire last year?
Yeah, I remember it.
Crazy, wasn't it?
Was it scary for you guys?
As long as it didn't affect us, but I felt bad for the people who did get affected by it.
That's right. 100%.
How traumatizing that would be.
Yeah,
well, hopefully
absolutely.
we will get some rain next week and be out of this drought conditions. But again, this is something, even if we're not in a serious drought like we are now, that you should be aware of and using regularly.
The other thing is make sure that you understand a plan to get out, like an evacuation route. And also if you're smoking cigarettes, we didn't even talk about cigarettes. So Again,
we mentioned
common
that at the
sense.
beginning, but yeah.
Oh, okay, but common sense. So,
Yeah.
All right. I think we got through the list. So, interesting times that we have here in Myrtle Beach. So, wildfire is the topic. But what's that?
I was going to say, y'all stay safe out there.
Yeah, be careful. And hopefully this helped. If you have been affected by the wildfires, let us know. I'd love to know if that's the case, or if you've lived in one of the neighborhoods where you have had some of the wildfire issues, and what are you doing to prevent the wildfires around your home, if that's something that you're doing, because there's a lot of steps you can take, and also building products that we didn't get into, but that are, out there. So that are fire, proof.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We just wanted to do this quickly because of the wildfire situation. We hope it helps everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Talk to you guys later.
Don't smoke.